You don't expect your boss to ruin your life with a single glance, let alone one reckless night. But then again, you don't expect him to make you feel like falling apart is the only way you'll ever be whole again. Started in New York, the city where ambition eats you alive if you're not sharp enough. I was just another assistant, another nobody running around in the shadows of glass towers and power-hungry executives. And then there was him, Ethan Cross, the man everyone feared, the man whose voice could cut steel, the alpha who built an empire out of nothing. I should have stayed away. God knows I tried. But one night changes everything. A night that began with an argument and ended with my body trembling beneath his. I told myself it was nothing, just lust, just anger turning into something physical. Except life is cruel, and lust doesn't explain why weeks later I'm staring at a test strip in a tiny bathroom. My knees weak, my throat dry, positive. The world spins, and I know in that moment my life is no longer mine alone. When Ethan finds out, his reaction isn't what I expect. There's no cold dismissal, no payoff to keep my mouth shut. Instead, he looks at me with a fire I've never seen, a possession that terrifies me more than his anger ever could. "You think I'm going to let you walk away?" he says, his hand gripping my wrist with a force that's almost painful. "You're carrying my child. You're mine. Do you understand?" I want to scream at him, to tell him I'm not property, that my body is not a battlefield he can conquer. But when his thumb brushes against my skin, when his voice drops into that low, almost broken whisper, "Please don't leave me," my heart betrays me. The days that follow are a storm. Ethan hovers like a shadow, protective, overbearing, infuriating. I can't breathe without feeling him there, can't escape the way his presence wraps around me like chains and yet, somehow, like a shield. The office gossip spreads like wildfire, and I feel the weight of every stare, every whisper, branding me as the boy who got tangled up with the alpha boss. I hate him. I crave him. I want to run, but every time I pack my bags, I remember the warmth of his arms around me, the rare softness in his eyes when he presses his forehead to mine, whispering things he would never say in the light of day. And then there's the baby, our baby. One night, I wake from a nightmare visions of Ethan leaving, of me alone, of a child with no father. My chest tightens until I can't breathe, and before I know it, Ethan is there, pulling me against his bare chest, murmuring, "I've got you. I'm not going anywhere." His lips find my temple, and for the first time, I believe him. But belief is fragile. The world is cruel. And when someone from Ethan's past returns someone who knows exactly how to break him, I realize this story isn't just about love or lust. It's about survival. Because loving an alpha like Ethan isn't safe. It's fire, and fire always burns. The night the storm hit Manhattan, I thought everything was going to fall apart. Ethan had been quieter than usual, his shoulders tight, his phone buzzing with calls he wouldn't explain. And then the door opened, and his past walked in like a ghost in a tailored suit. Daniel, the man who once betrayed him, the man who knew Ethan before the empire, before the steel walls he built around his heart. He looked at me with a smirk that made my stomach twist. "So this is the little assistant who caught the alpha's eye," he sneered, his gaze lingering cruelly on my stomach. "And carrying his child, no less. Ethan, I didn't think you were the type to get sentimental." I wanted to speak, to tell him to get the hell out, but Ethan's hand tightened around mine, his jaw clenched, eyes like thunder. "Leave," Ethan ordered, his voice low and lethal. But Daniel only laughed, circling us like a predator. "Do you really think you can keep them safe?" Daniel whispered. "You destroy everything you touch. You're not capable of love, Ethan. You never were." For the first time, I saw Ethan falter. His grip loosened, his shoulders slumped under the weight of old wounds. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Ethan wasn't the unshakable alpha everyone feared. He was a man terrified of being abandoned, terrified of not being enough. That night ended with Ethan breaking. He locked himself in his study, the sound of glass shattering against walls echoing through the penthouse. I stood outside the door, trembling, my hands pressed against the wood. "Ethan, let me in," I whispered. Please, you don't have to fight this alone. When the door finally opened, his eyes were red, his hands bleeding from shattered glass. He looked at me like he didn't deserve to, like I was too pure, too fragile for the darkness inside him. I ruin everything I touch, he murmured. You and the baby deserve better than me. I don't know where the strength came from, but I cupped his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. Then don't ruin it. Don't push me away. We're not perfect, Ethan, but this what we have, it's real. And I'd rather fight through hell with you than live in heaven without you. For the first time, Ethan broke down in my arms. He sobbed into my shoulder, the alpha stripped bare, and I held him as if holding him could keep the pieces together. The weeks that followed weren't easy. The company board pushed back against him. Daniel tried to sabotage deals, and my pregnancy weighed heavier with every passing day. But through every meeting, every sleepless night, Ethan was there, sometimes infuriating, sometimes tender, always present. One evening, when the city skyline glowed orange and the baby kicked for the first time, Ethan pressed his palm against my stomach, his breath hitching. I don't deserve this, he whispered. You, them, any of it. I smiled through tears. Maybe not, but you have it anyway, so don't waste it. When the board finally ousted Daniel, when Ethan stood tall in front of the empire he built, he didn't look at them. He looked at me. His eyes told me everything, that the battles, the scars, the sleepless nights had all been worth it because, for once, he wasn't alone. The day our child was born, Ethan was a mess. The man who never flinched in the face of billion-dollar deals nearly fainted when I screamed through contractions. He held my hand like it was a lifeline, kissed my sweat-soaked forehead, whispered, I love you. I love you. Don't you dare leave me. When the baby's first cry filled the room, Ethan broke again, but this time with joy. He held our child in trembling hands, tears streaking his face, and whispered promises I knew he'd never dared make before. Later, as I lay in the hospital bed, exhausted but alive, Ethan climbed in beside me, cradling both me and the tiny bundle between us. You were supposed to be my mistake, he said softly, a smile breaking through his tears. But you're my salvation. I pressed my forehead against his, my heart aching with love. And you're mine. The city outside roared with life, uncaring, relentless. But inside that quiet room, it was just us two broken men who somehow found a way to build something whole. Love, after all, wasn't about perfection. It was about surviving the fire together and choosing, again and again, to stay. And Ethan chose me, forever. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.